I investigated an alleged UFO crash that happened in 1996 in Varginha, Brazil, where the witnesses, who I totally believe, describe these entities as having brown, oily skin, 3.5, 4 feet tall, big red eyes, not demonic, little kind of like protrudences on the head.
Okay.
Then you got the quintessential grays like the children in Africa saw, right? The big almond-shaped eyes, dark black eyes, spindly arms and legs, grayish in color. You've got accounts like Mr. Sands, more human-like, with the big eyes, the earlobes. There are other accounts I've heard of, like Travis Walton, Fire in the Sky, where he talks about these sort of angelic, with the big blue eyes and very human features, tall and so you hear all these various accounts that are very credible, that I take seriously.
I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it. Quitting was never an option. Exhausted. This passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it. Nah, you cannot stop it. Quitting was never an option. And you cannot stop it. Nah, you cannot stop it.
There appears to have been some type of a war that happened, and from some of the texts, it seemed to have extended from Earth to the Moon and even to Mars.
How long ago would this have been?
We'd be talking about hundreds of thousands of years ago.
I just got interested in another set of imagery from Mars as well. It looks like there was on a coastline and on an island area not too far, that it looks like city streets and totally decimated cityscapes.
Yeah.
And I think when other scientists did some analysis, and right there over those two areas, he said that these are consistent with an airburst nuclear attack, and that this is probably what caused this planet to die.
Yeah, the decimation happened from that.
So the scientific stuff they're going through right now, and I'm very interested to see how that pans out.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. There's a lot going on. I mean, I really do believe that these ancient cultures, and Mars is mentioned in the Epic of Atrahasis, where these beings called the Igigi were working both on Earth and on Mars, and they were building two concurrent civilizations. These were the worker bees, and then they got pissed off that they were working too hard, so they decided to come to Earth and go against the gods of Earth, Anu, Enki, and Enlil, in a place called Adam's Calendar in South Africa, and they almost had a coup and went to war against them. And then in the text, it says that in order to deflect this war, Enki said, there's an existing being on this planet. We will add our essence to it and get it to bear the load. That would be us, our cousins.
Wow. Basically. So in other words, genetically manipulated a little bit.
And so it could be that this, like I said, this being engaged by these beings from various different places has been going on for a very, very long time. And what we're experiencing now could be the epiphany of the better part of the engagement. In other words, maybe there's something going on out there that put order in the universe, at least within this sector of the galaxy, to where the negative or the dark ones that had ill intent can't come to hurt us or injure us or damage us or whatever. And maybe there's something there that's, this higher level of a group that has the power to help protect us. Not from ourselves particularly, well, at least with the nukes maybe, but allow us to grow and still make mistakes, but to not allow these outside forces to come and engage us and destroy our developmental process.
If there's one thing I've learned in this whole phenomenon is no matter how outlandish and how crazy something sounds, suspend judgment, look at the evidence, and scratch your head.
Yeah, you just never know. That's just a hypothesis.
I get it. I mean, this guy's talking about face-to-face encounter with an alien in the desert.
Right.
I don't have any questions, let me tell you that. But anyway, I totally agree, though. But I wish everybody could have those kind of experiences and just understand that this is real. It doesn't, in my estimation, doesn't fly in the face of my faith. It very much matches it. And it even goes with the other ancient texts that, these were areas of the world that there seemed to have been some kind of sky people concern for us. So there's a lot of stuff there that we need to really dig into when it comes to this issue, and it's going to take some time. It really will, and we're going to have to really study it.
Yeah.
I mean, like we have never done before.
True. I agree. James, do you have any, I know that you mentioned 3 different races of beings earlier, which we'll have you bring it up in a second, but
Yeah.
How many races do you think have been engaging mankind?
Well, all I can go on is my personal investigations, right? So I investigated an alleged UFO crash that happened in 1996 in Varginha, Brazil, where the witnesses, who I totally believe, described these entities as having brown, oily skin, 3.5, 4 feet tall, big red eyes, not demonic, little kind of like protrudences on the head.
Okay.
A little different than what your typical grays would be, right?
Yeah.
And communicate telepathically. Then you got the quintessential grays like the children in Africa saw, right? The big almond-shaped eyes, dark black eyes, spindly arms and legs, grayish in color. You've got accounts like Mr. Sands, more human-like, with the big eyes, the earlobes. There are other accounts I've heard of, like Travis Walton, Fire in the Sky, where he talks about these sort of angelic, with the big blue eyes and very human features, tall and so you hear all these various accounts that are very credible, that I take seriously. So I've heard at least 5 or 6 different types that I believe, but that could open the door. There could be hundreds, thousands. I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you describe some of the ones you talked about earlier?
Yeah, the grays are typically almond head, almond eyes, kind of I guess angular chin, very small mouth, small nose, not even noticeable really, just kind of nostrils is all you see. The tall whites that Mr. Charles Hall mentioned, I think, is completely accurate to what I saw. Maybe a hybrid of the tall whites, and they're very, very much like us. I think Charles Hall said that they even wanted, like the females, like the human female fashions.
Wow,
and stuff like this. But I was like, wow, mind blowing. But and I do believe Charles Hall's story as well. Let me put it that way.
Okay.
He was a military guy, right? That encountered something?
Yes, he was. And to verify him, just real quickly, is that I was taken on a tour of the base when I got there to Dreamland, and they mentioned that exactly as Charles Hall stated, that he could walk around wherever he felt like. They literally said that the guy who works at the weather station, that's exactly what he did. And I was like, that was the first time I was like, this guy's probably telling the truth, because that's exactly what the base commander told me. Wow. That position is like that. But for me, I think ultimately, just even though I've only on mission, I only heard those 3. I believe the universe is absolutely full of life. I think the pattern for life, and that the fact that we are here, it shows a creative consciousness. It has something to do with the way everything is organized and patterned. And we're finding out more and more scientifically every day that there doesn't seem to be this accidental anything. It looks like it was consciously thought of, and we're living literally in the matrix of that. And if that's the case, then I can imagine there'd be billions, if not trillions, of other beings out there. It's literally anything you could think of. It's probably true out there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I love those photographs that the Hubble telescope, and I think there's other telescopes that are even better nowadays, where you look at like what appeared previously to be a just blackness of space, and you focus on that little tiny bit of space, and then all of a sudden it appears that you're looking at not stars, but galaxies. And billions of galaxies. And then you think to yourself, that little pinpoint right there is a galaxy that has billions of suns.
Crazy.
Right? Billions.
And
there's billions of galaxies. It's inconceivable.
It's called the Trillion Sky Book by Hubble.
Thank you. Yeah, it's absolutely, just wrap your mind around the concept of the vastness. Then now they're talking about multiverses, not even a universe. Like,
I mean, think about this.
Wow.
You, me,
bending.
I know.
Almost everybody else on this planet has barely broken the cloud cover of this atmosphere.
True.
Very few have gone beyond. And for us to bona fidely think that in all arrogance that we would know everything else about the universe is absolutely mind-boggling to me that somebody would actually have that kind of a statement.
Yeah.
It's better for them to state, with current information that I have, these are my suppositions, but don't tell me you know the key to the universe.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that's something everybody needs to kind of reset a little bit on.
Yeah.
Because we have so many people wanting to say, I know it goes this way.
Right, right.
Also, I feel like anybody who says unequivocally, this is what's up,
Yeah.
kind of go,
Yeah.
really? Okay, well, I'm open to all possibilities.
Right.
I have to be.
Yeah.
I have to be because I hear extremely credible reports, stuff like from him, stuff in Africa, stuff in South America, where I have to be open and go, these people saw something, and the opportunity for life in the universe. I mean, every day we're learning more about the vastness of and what are these habitable zones? What do they call those? Where it's
the M-class planets, or the
the exoplanets.
Exoplanets.
Yeah, exoplanets where there's like possible
the Goldilocks zone.
Yeah.
Goldilocks zone. Thank you. Yeah. They're just like everywhere.
Finding them everywhere, like literally everywhere.
It's incredible.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling how many of them are out there, and they just keep popping up.
Yes.
They used to have a hard time finding them, but now they're finding them like this.
They're in the thousands
That's
now,
cool.
and it's going to continue exponentially as we go through and we get better telescopes and everything else.
Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to, is that we're going to discover a whole lot more.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to those because, like I said, you don't have to convince me. I'm just waiting for the day that everybody else is able to see what I saw.
Yeah, yeah.
It'd be
How
awesome.
do you think the economics of the world, and just say maybe just the American government, are going to change once this becomes a reality? Do you foresee economic explosion or implosion?
Well, I met with a guy named Robert Bigelow.
Oh, Bigelow Aerospace.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he had sent me an email. Actually, he had his account, or his secretary send me an email, and she said, it was 2009 or maybe 2010. And she says, Mr. Bigelow, I wanted to reach out and let you know on a job well done about a movie I did called I Know What I Saw. And I thought, oh, Mr. Bigelow.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Bigelow, So I reached out, hey, was there any chance that maybe he would like to get together for a lunch or something? Yeah, sure, So I went and met with Mr. Bigelow.
Yeah.
Probably 2010 at his home in Las Vegas.
Wow.
And he goes, James, we did an extensive deep dive into so-called disclosure and the impacts the disclosure would have. Now, I'm not saying that he's right or wrong, but he seems like somebody in a position to know.
Yeah.
And they got the intellectual heavyweights within the scientific community to really examine the potential impacts that this disclosure would have. And he said, we made the determination after a year or two, I think it was, that the initial impact would be about as impactful as like if you take every single scandal, Iran-Contras, Monica Lewinsky, all these scandals, right?
Yeah.
And multiply that by either it was 1,000 or 100,000, whatever,
Wow.
that would be the impact it would have. And he goes, you're looking at financial institutions and religious institutions. I mean, it would have repercussions, reverberations around the world.
Yeah.
Maybe, who am I to say? I don't know. But that's what he said to me.
That's his educated opinion.
That's his educated opinion,
Yeah.
yes, that it would have these impacts. And maybe it would initially, and then the dust would settle. And guess what? We still got to do the dishes.
Yeah.
We still got to take out the garbage. We still got to get gas for the car.
Yeah,
I got to make dinner for the kids.
Right.
I always look at our economy like a microcosm as well of
Yeah.
life, in that it always seems to absorb whatever it gets hit with, and it balances out.
True.
So I believe there might be some initial shock about who gets to have the technology, whether it's sold on the global market or it's just locally, and then it gets sold. I don't know. I imagine it's going to be a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be what happens when it comes to medicines that are discovered even in South America and places like that, where, a British explorer finds one and then an American one finds one, and they both go back to their labs and they produce a medicine, and then eventually the prices come down.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what's going to happen here. The same thing that if they come clean, it'll just be a matter of massaging it into place, and then everybody kind of settles out. But I think initially there's going to be some people with really big voices. So unfair. I need more money for this, you know.
Right.
You lied to us.
Yeah. Exactly. This has been an incredible, deep conversation, and I'm glad we're able to have this conversation so open like this, because it shows people a model of how to have conversations like this, and to not be afraid to ask these questions that might seem way out there. We're just hypothesizing. We're just speculating based on our own research and information that we've all experienced and whatever we know, right?
Informed speculation.
Yeah, exactly. Informed speculation, so that we can throw around different ideas and just hypothesize, what is this world going to look like in 10, 15, 20 years, you know? I think we will get an announcement, an official announcement, which will come from the space agencies in reference to aliens, and that will be bacteria on Mars. That's my personal opinion. Based on the research that I've been involved in with researching Mars for over a decade, I have an organization called the United Family of Anomaly Hunters, where we scan and look for anomalies on Mars and other planets and, and moons. They have sent several science kits there. This most recent science kit, I believe, from the Perseverance will at some point give us the ability to officially say that there are bacteria on Mars. And so that will be the alien life. I think that'll be the very, very first official level of disclosure. We'll get bacteria. I could be wrong, but we'll see how it pans out.
And you think it'll expand from there?
I think it'll expand from there. This is kind of part of the, okay, let's tell them the bacteria. Okay, let's tell them we found a more complex organism. Okay, let's tell them, you know, little by little, I think that that'll be maybe the initial process. And that could spark this rise of consciousness of people just knowing and thinking, oh, we're not the only ones. And maybe the watchers, these beings, are looking at that. Oh, they are beginning to release, even though it's a very slow pace, that knowledge, that awareness that there's something else out there, even if it's only bacteria other than us that didn't originate here, is an enlightening thing.
I have to make a statement about that, because I just got back from Brazil, where we interviewed these two forensic pathologists that worked on the deceased military officer who allegedly captured one of the beings during the 1996 Varginha UFO incident. And for the first time ever, these forensic pathologists went on the record. They didn't do it anonymously, and they talked about bacteria, and they couldn't prove it, but they said it most likely came from under the fingernail of the creature that scratched the military officer when he grabbed it, and that bacteria had exhibited like an evolution. They've never seen anything like it on this planet. And I remember talking with, and I'm not going to go into the specifics, because I talked to a few journalists. They were like, that's newsworthy. That's something that we might pitch on a more mainstream level story, because it's not being reported on as anonymously. These are scientists that saw this. And anyway, so you talked about it coming from Mars. I'm like, maybe under the fingernail.
It could be.
It might beat you to it.
Listen, they might, and that'd be great. That would be phenomenal. To hear that bacteria exists would just be phenomenal, because then it would be more confirmation.
Absolutely. Scientific.
Scientific confirmation. That's what we need. I don't care where it comes from. As long as we get that scientific confirmation,
something
I think
that
it's
can
going
be
to be
repeated in a
exactly.
And I would tell you that I think within the program, they've already scientifically affirmed all of the things we're talking about, and that they're going to have to think, how do they utilize this? Because there are some revelations here that do have that higher impact, other than just weaponization. And the humanization phase needs to begin. So that, and I think that's a natural progression from where we were back in the 50s and 30s or whatever, in World War II era. And I think that it would be a good progression now that in our day and age, I've never heard from a single soul that I've talked to, about my clearances and everything else. They don't want me to tell them the secrets that are about national security. And they totally get it. All they want to be told is the truth. Are we here alone, or are we here with a family of other life? And that's what really the program folks have to think about. And I think one of the things they struggle with is the fact that they feel that there might be like a whole fear factor, but when you've got 70 to 80% of the population, and we're talking worldwide, that believe that we're not alone already, I think it's about prime time. And on top of that, when have you ever heard of so many whistleblowers coming forward? And how many people do we honestly have to talk to that have really credible history and everything else? How many
Mm-hmm.
does it take to witness what's going on in order for the mass of everybody else to catch on and go, there might be something to this?
Right, right. Absolutely. Too much circumstantial evidence.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And the implications
Yep.
are so profound that we've got to, it's amazing to me. I'll say this one final thing,
Mm-hmm.
that you've got, like, you know, speaking of like scandals, you've got, you know, sexual peccadillos of presidents,
Right.
and the media just goes after it. They put all their men, all their
Yeah.
resources, all their journalists,
24 hours a day.
24/7, man, just going for it. It's like, then you get a guy who testifies under oath to a bipartisan group of lawmakers, says, we have definitive proof that we're not alone in the universe, implications that are, you know,
Yeah.
global, and crickets.
Yeah, nothing.
What?
It disappears.
Are you kidding me? And 60 Minutes did a piece a couple of years ago on UFOs for the first time ever. I waited my whole life
Wow.
to see that. And it was one of the best, most well-rated shows they'd ever done.
Mm.
Where's the follow-up?
Yeah.
What?
They got an email that said, don't do it.
Something, where's the follow-up? Where is mainstream on this? Like, hello?
Yeah.
The demand is there.
The demand is there.
We want to know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. The people are
It's
ready.
just mind-boggling to me. So we're doing it on our own, man. We're out there, all of us contributing to the so-called disclosure. So yeah.
And let me say this too, in final, is just that if all you really want is for the Department of Defense and the government to say, yeah, we lied to you, that's one thing. But it's quite another to, as the people of the United States and any other place in the world, to say that we believe that we are not alone. You don't need government approval for that.
No, you don't.
And that's where I think the strength of the people are. We have scientists of our own that are not in the program. We have scientists and engineers and people of all walks of life that can probably do the work themselves.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about the taint that might come from governmental agencies and stuff like that getting in the way.
Yeah.
So
Excuse me.
the more the people get involved, and we do this civilly, I think eventually the government will catch up. That seems to be the historical vibe that you get throughout our history, that the people are the ones that build the fire. And then the government's like, oh, that's where the camp is. We need to go there because we want to get reelected.
Exactly. You already know.
Yep.
Yeah. Incredible conversation. Jason Sands, James Fox, thank you so much, you guys. It's been an honor to have you on the Forbidden Knowledge podcast.
Been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man.
It's
Peace.
been great.
Thank you. Watch this video for free at www.4bk.tv or download the app on your smartphone, Fire Stick app, Samsung TV, Roku, and other app providers.